I'm one person who likes to strive to have her ducks in a row, especially when it comes to my family and my business. 2019 was a fantastic year for our brand, all thanks to Caroline Mutoko for sharing our purple tea story. I'll call it the Rolls Royce of tea. I thought I had fantastic or greater plans come beginning of 2020. However, in December 2019, God reminded me that He was in charge. My name is Lucy Kingori, and this is my story. In 2019, I get to my office, sit on my desk, and as usual, start with my emails. As I was going through my emails, that was at 10 a.m., I started coughing. I remember I coughed till about noon, and by noon, I'd started coughing a bit of blood. So naturally, I called my husband. He's on my speed dial instead of calling the doctor, and he advised me to get to Nairobi Hospital as fast as I could. I went back down to Nairobi Hospital, where a chest x-ray was done. I took the chest x-ray to our family doctor, and turns out I had mild bronchitis. I was put on medication for about a week, and by then I'd started feeling better. So I went back to the same doctor for a review, and while I was there, I decided to pick his brain because I remember I'd been having constant headaches that usually came with a bit of dizziness and light sensitivity. The doctor decided to find out what that was about. So I told him I'd had the headaches for about 2 years. I'd been on Panadol for a while and I needed something stronger. Instead of giving me stronger painkillers for my headaches, he suggested I do a bunch of tests. Tests like a kidney test, liver test, thyroid test, and an EEG for my brain waves, and a CT scan. For me, that was a bit unnecessary, but I decided to indulge him anyway. A week later, the results came in, and my kidney was okay, thank God. My liver was okay as well. My thyroid showed a bit of a vitamin D deficiency, which could be treated with supplements. And then now the EEG scan showed a bit of an issue with my brain waves. We got to the final test, which was the CT scan, and the CT scan, according to him, showed a growth around my brain on the right side, just above the eye socket. This was a bit unexpected for me, and I froze. I remember he proposed that we go see a neurosurgeon as soon as possible. And we went down to Nairobi Hospital to book for an appointment with a neurosurgeon. Unfortunately, he was not available. A week passed and we got to see the neurosurgeon. So he looked at the scan and he immediately suggested we have the growth removed. He called it a meningioma. It was a growth the size of an egg that was interfering with my brain and causing the memory gaps, the headaches, the light sensitivity, and the dizziness. We've tried finding out if there are other treatments for the same, and for him it was just brain surgery. There was nothing else. So we didn't want to waste time. So we booked the earliest date, which was in another week. So we went home, stressed, depressed, wondering what would happen if we didn't have the surgery, or what would have happened if we'd not found out about the growth. In that week, I remember I put my affairs in order. I took care of my business. I spoke to my colleague Faith and told her what was happening. She was more than happy to assist on that front. I spoke to my mom and my mother-in-law, and they were happy to take care of the kids while I was away. I then made peace with the fact that I was going to lose my hair And I went to Tony Airo. I told him what was happening. He cheerfully encouraged me as he cut my hair. And that was it. We were ready. After that, we were ready for hospital. On December 11th, we checked into hospital and we were ready for surgery. At 4:30 p.m., I was wheeled into theatre for what would be an 8-hour procedure to remove the tumor on my brain. The hours before the surgery, I remember, was the most stressful for my husband and I. We both didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if I'd come out okay, if I'd come out of vegetable, if I'd come out of surgery at all, what would happen to the boys. There were just many thoughts going through our minds, but we decided to just let God go ahead of the procedure. 8 hours later, at about midnight, I came out of surgery and was wheeled into HDU. I opened my eyes a day later and I was beyond happy to see my husband, because for me that meant my head was working, my brain was working well. I recognized him. So a few days at HDU, then back to the wards where the bandage was removed and it revealed a bald head with 18 staples. I was not too worried about the hair. I actually found myself happy to be alive, because before the surgery, our nerves were all over. But now I'd come out of the surgery, I was even standing up. I was happy. The hair, that we could always grow back. The scar, I was happy to wear it. A few days in hospital, then we got to go back home. So I finally got home to my children. My 5-year-old obviously had questions. My 1.5-year-old didn't recognize mommy because mommy had hair, and coming back from hospital, mommy did not have hair and had a scar on her face, and it took a while for him to adjust. The healing process began. It wasn't easy because of the regular seizures, the sharp pains, the dizziness, the confusion at times. I also had a cocktail of medication, including steroids, that gave me quite the appetite. To date, I struggle with short-term memory and I have constant sharp pains, cannot sleep on the right side of my head. I have a lazy brow. I'm fatigued more often than not. But guess what? I've never been happier to be alive. It now feels like a new lease to life, a chance to start over again. My thoughts during the entire time were, what if the surgery goes wrong? What if I come out as a vegetable? Brain surgery is not to be taken lightly after all. What are the short and long-term effects? What happens to my business? Considering we just had a huge launch in 2019 and a successful year, all these have been going through my mind, but I've realized health is more important, wellness is more important, and at this point, I'm willing to take a day at a time, and I realize I don't have control over everything. Just let go and let God. That's what I'd say actually. Looking back, it could have been worse. In the words of our doctor, if we'd let the growth stay where it was for another 6 months, we'd have been discussing other issues, including having a stroke. I'm grateful to my husband who rarely left my side. I'm grateful to my doctor, the neurosurgeon who continues to take care of me. I'm grateful to my colleague Faith and the entire BU.KE team for holding fort while I was away. Joan Madenge, thank you. Paul Nganga and More Murunga. Tony Airo, thank you for the encouragement. I'm happy to share my story, hoping it encourages someone out there to look out for number one. Number one being yourself. Remember, if you're not 100%, if you're not okay, you cannot take care of anyone else. You cannot take care of anything else. So you have to look out for number one. What does that mean? That means your wellness comes first. Wellness. You have to eat healthy. Drink your water. Drink your purple tea. Be selfish at times. It's okay. Your health and wellness comes first. And if you've been through trauma or surgery of sorts, I encourage you to completely feel it. There is no shortcut to healing. Own your story 100%. Your soul speaks loud and clear to you. You need to listen to it. Live the way you want to unapologetically. Life is for the living.